If you don't know who Hamza is, he's basically this YouTuber that makes videos where he violates this guy called Jeffrey. But on a serious note, Hamza is a self-improvement YouTuber that's been growing ridiculously fast in the last couple of months. Now, I've been on self-improvement for like the last 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4, depending on what you think self-improvement is. And I made good progress in the last few years. But then I found Hamza's channel like 4 months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And I must say that Hamza's content impacted my life way more than any of the content that I watched in the last few years before that. Like the things that I learned in the last few months are way more important than the things that I've learned before. And if you are someone that started self-improvement now, or someone that hasn't started self-improvement, or even if you have been on self-improvement for the last few years even, I would highly suggest that you watch Hamza's videos. He makes self-improvement content that other people don't talk about, and he makes you think about things differently than most self-improvement YouTubers or even fitness YouTubers do. Now let me just explain to you why you should watch his videos, and in order to do so, I'll tell you what I was like before I started watching his videos. Now, like I've said, I've been on self-improvement for like 3 years before this, so I wasn't like completely lost and hopeless. I started my YouTube channel April 12th, 2021. I've been watching self-improvement content and things on productivity. I've been coding for like the last almost 4 years now. I knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I think I knew that I was going to be a YouTuber as well before that, even before I even started the channel. I knew I was going to be successful. I've been working out for the last 2 years, so I mean, you can see the gains, you know. And you know, I've been working on becoming more attractive, so I've been growing out my hair and working on my body and skincare and all that. I was trying to improve my social skills before that, so I was watching a bunch of YouTubers like Charisma on Command and some like not pickup artists, but like How to Beast, for example, and Coach Kyle. And I think at that point I was basically what Hamza would call out to Chad in a Jeffrey. I mean, I'm not saying that I looked like a Chad or anything like that, but you know, I look decent. I was becoming more attractive. You might think that I'm like average looking or something like that, but where I am, like the place that I live, I'm considered attractive. And you know, I'm not trying to sound like a douchebag or anything like this, but you just know, like there are obvious signs of it. And people telling me this, of course. I definitely had a eating disorder of some sorts. So when I'm bored, I tend to eat a lot of junk food and snacks, as well as when my mental health is bad. And when my mental health is also bad, or when I'm bored as well, I also indulge in certain activities that involve the hub almost every day. So, you know, it was going relatively well for someone my ages, I think, but it wasn't going as good as it is now. And then I discovered Hamza's channel and everything basically changed. Now, I personally think that Hamza is the best self-improvement channel on YouTube. And the reason for this is because, one, he drills into your mind how important the basic things are, like working out, reading, avoiding instant gratification activities, meditation, journaling, and improving your social skills. And if you just focus on these few things, you should be set for life. Like if you can get to a decent level in all of these things and you start doing all of these things daily, I definitely think that you'll be successful at some point in your life. And the thing is, I knew about all of these things before this. I knew that I was supposed to be reading. I knew that I was supposed to be working out, and I wasn't reading. I didn't like reading. I knew that I was supposed to be journaling and avoiding instant gratification activities. I knew that I was supposed to stop procrastinating and not be watching the hub. I knew all of these things, but I just never took it seriously. But then when I started watching his videos, he presented the information in a way like nobody else on YouTube does. And I think the reason therefore is because he himself is different than all of these other YouTubers. People like Matt Diavella, Thomas Frank, and Better Ideas. I'm not exactly sure about their situations, like when they were children or when they were teenagers, their financial situations and all, but I assume that they were all like middle-class white guys, lived a pretty decent life. They grew up in a good household and they were good financially and all this stuff, you know, nice school, good friends, or decent friends. And the thing is, Hamza didn't have most of these things, but he was also basically a complete loser back then. He said it himself. But when he was younger, he was basically in the same position that we were. He was addicted to video games. He was addicted to the hub. He had poor social skills. He wasn't that attractive. He didn't have a good body. So he's been in our position before. I swear he knows me better than I know myself. He knows that I think things that I'm not even aware of. He knows why I do certain things. And you watch these videos and you're like, oh, that actually makes sense, you know? So he's very relatable in that sense. And because of that, it makes you want to take his advice more seriously. On top of that, you can also see that he comes off as very authentic. So he opens up about his childhood and a bunch of other things that other YouTubers would never talk about on this platform. And another thing is that he doesn't sugarcoat things. So he'll tell you that you are a loser right now, that you don't deserve to be happy and you don't deserve success. And it's true, I'm the same. I don't deserve to have money or to be successful or to be completely happy or content with my life because I haven't put in the work for as long as I'm supposed to. I haven't been doing things right and I haven't been doing it for long enough. So until that point comes, I just have to deal with it and keep improving my life. And there's so many different things, so many things that he teaches you that other people don't teach you. For example, he talks about the lizard brain, the amygdala, which is that part of the brain that basically tells you to do the bad things. And then he teaches you about the prefrontal cortex, which is basically like the part of your brain that knows that what you're doing is wrong and that's kind of like combating with the other side of your brain. And he teaches you that mindfulness and meditation would basically solve this problem within a certain amount of time. So if you do it for long enough, then you should get rid of this problem. And I never understood why I should meditate before. I thought it was like and have more control over your brain, and I heard that it makes you smarter because it changes your brain in some way. And you know how everybody says like you have to be present in the moment, but back then you're like, what does that actually mean? Like, what does it actually mean to be present and mindful? And he explains how it works in a way that we can all understand. And he's so good at getting you to take action. Like at the end of his videos, for example, he'll say like, don't you dare go watch another video right now. Get off YouTube, shut down your phone, and go stare at a wall. Go outside and pick your favorite leaf and touch some grass. And he opens up about his mistakes, and all of these things combined just makes him such a good self-improvement YouTuber. Because of this, after watching all of his content, I started doing all of these things. I meditate daily for 10 minutes. I journal every day for like 20 minutes or so. I work out. I exercise daily. So I either go on a walk or I have 3 to 4 strength sessions a week. I've been reading recently, and the things that I've learned in these books have changed my life, and it's changed how I do so many things in my day-to-day life. So Hamza, if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you. And I'm really grateful for your content, because if I didn't come across your channel, I don't know how many years it would have set me back. But like any person, I have a few issues with Hamza. You know, he's not Adonis yet. I think he still makes mistakes. The first one is his extreme approach towards doing a lot of things, and he is a strong advocate of not playing video games and like not watching Netflix or watching anime, I'm guessing, as well. And the thing is, I get where he's coming from. These aren't good habits at all, and I understand that he thinks that most people don't get any enjoyment from it, and also the fact that they try and justify what they're doing by saying that it's actually not bad for them, that it's actually good for them. And those guys are definitely wrong for that, and they should definitely like see some of that content where he talks about this. But there are some of us like myself that are aware of these like bad effects that it'll have on you. I know that it's a bad thing, for example, playing video games, but I accept the consequences. I know that it's not the best use of my time and I'm better off reading a book or something, but there are just some times that I would want to play a video game, that I would want to watch a Netflix series instead of learning something. And I'm fine if that slightly holds me back, because it is things that I enjoy. I watch anime like twice a week now. I watch Boruto when it comes out on a Sunday, and I watch Attack on Titan when it comes out on Monday. And most of the times, me and my friend Caleb, we get together on Sundays to watch Boruto. And I wish I could record us watching it sometimes, because when there's like a really good fight, we'd be like screaming in the room, doing push-ups and stuff, getting hyped up with what's happening. It's a really good time that we have. And then Attack on Titan is also really good, and I actually enjoy it, and I don't do it that often. So I know it's not the best thing for me, but I am okay with that, and I feel like there are a lot of people that think the same way that I do. And I do think that Hamza's okay with this viewpoint of ours, but I don't think that a lot of people like myself can actually take that extreme approach towards doing things, because I know that the good habits become enjoyable once you eliminate all of the bad ones, but I still want to do some of the bad ones because it does have a role in my life. Like for example, video games. I was a big gamer when I was younger, so I had like nights where I would play GTA 5 from 8 in the evening to 8 in the morning without even realizing it was the next day already. I thought I was playing for like an hour. And I haven't played games in 2 years now, but once I start making money and gain some success, I'll definitely go back to playing games, and I'll play it with my friends mostly, because that's what we enjoyed the most, like playing Call of Duty with my friends, or things like Splinter Cell and Lord of the Rings, probably on the weekend, because that's usually when I take time off. And the second thing, I think, from what I've seen from his videos, his past videos mostly, is that he thinks that his way of doing things is the best way of doing things. And I agree that his way of doing a lot of things is like a really good way, and it is probably one of the best ways of doing things, but that's for himself. I think that a lot of people have differences in their personalities and some other things, maybe like their genetics and all that, that would make his way of doing certain things not be as effective for them. For example, Hamza and myself are people that need timetables, for example, in our lives, to schedule our lives and make sure that we do everything. We have to like put posters up in the wall to remind ourselves to do things with quotes and just mindsets to keep. But some people don't need this. Some people can't function well with a schedule, with a daily routine, with doing the same thing every day. They can have a really flexible routine and still be more successful than us. And that's just because that's them, you know? So examples of this is like the timetable. Last time I checked in one of his videos, he said that it is the best habit to have because your whole day becomes a habit. And I do agree that it is probably the best one for me. But I remember in the video, he said that he read Atomic Habits and he still thinks that what he's doing is better, the timetable. But I think that a lot of the things that James Clear mentions in the book would work well for other people, work better for other people, just because they are different than us. And then the last thing, and I think the most important one, in my opinion, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Hamza, but this is just my own observation. I don't think that he does enough research and thinks enough about things that he says before he says it in videos. For example, the testosterone video that he made, that Derek from More Plates More Date reacted to and said that he was spreading misleading information that could be harmful to other people. And I know that he didn't intentionally do this. It's just because he was not educated enough, and that is a mistake on his part that I'm sure that he takes responsibility for. But that's the point that I'm trying to make. Hamza has such a big following, and Hamza, if you're watching this, I really want you to think about this. You have such a big following, and you have so many guys that would take your advice blind. So it is your responsibility to make sure that whatever you say online is actually accurate. Because if you say something wrong, it could have a really harmful impact on someone else's life. So I just want you to be aware of that. And I think this is like the same thing, but he's basically like the ultimate bro scientist. He says things that make sense. Like logically it makes sense, and like if you had to trust your intuition, you would think like, okay, yeah, this makes sense, it's probably true. But it's also not, because of like smaller details that probably doesn't take into consideration. In one of his YouTube shorts, he said that watching sports is basically the same as watching The Hub. You know, and his argument for it made sense. Like he said that because you're trying to be the person that's doing that thing rather than actually doing it. And I agree in that sense. But watching sports isn't nearly as detrimental as watching The Hub. And that's like the biggest thing. A lot of people watch sports with their friends to socialize, and it can be somewhat of a good thing for them in that sense, and if they don't overdo it, of course. Another thing is, I don't actually want to speak about this on my channel because it's a really sensitive topic, but I know recently he's been considering religion, and specifically Islam. Now, I was a Muslim most of my life, up until like last year or the year before. I'm an atheist now, and that's just because I don't believe in God, and I don't personally agree with things that Islam teaches and what they think is ethical. Because I know Hamza is like considering it because a lot of the things that we do in self-improvement is things that people in religions already do, and the fact that like God is basically your biggest accountability partner because he's always seeing what you're doing, and because of that you would want to do the right thing. And in that sense, yes, I think you're right. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but like, have you ever thought about whether or not you actually believe in God? Have you read the Quran yet? Have you learned enough about Islam to actually consider it? Do you agree with everything that they teach? Do you think you would be able to follow it? So there are things like that that I'm not sure you thought about. And like, this is a good example of this, but also for a lot of the other things that you talk about. Have you ever did enough research about the opposite end of what you're talking about? For this example, you would learn about Islam, but then what you should also do is learn about science, for example. Learn about arguments for God and arguments against God. And I think you should apply this to all of the other things. And and I just realized that I'm kind of giving you advice, yeah? And I don't know if I'm right about this, you know, like I'm not saying that you should take my advice and all that, but I'm just saying that these are things that I think you should consider. But yeah, those are basically the only 3 problems that I have with Hamza. But otherwise, his content is really good. I would still really advise you to watch his videos, so I'll link his channel in the description, and like the video so that more people can see this video, so that more people can get onto self-improvement and start watching Hamza's videos, because I think it can truly change the trajectory of their lives like it did mine. And also, just leave a like for me, man. Subscribe to the channel if you're a programmer that wants to get onto self-improvement and learn how to code, because I'm at like 200 subscribers right now, so let's see if we can get to like 500 after this video, so that you can get your boy off the farm. But yeah, you'll see me in the next video.